So this podcast is going to be probably a little bit different to most podcasts. It's going to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more honest about a big part of one of my companies where myself and another business partner just got badly burnt in and around trust, and I wanted to explain it and the lessons we've learnt so that you don't have the same situation ever happen to you. All right, so trust. It's a big word, right? It's a word that we work with clients on gaining their trust. We think that, we don't think, but we know that we have to have a client's trust before they'll be open to us, before we can break down the barriers, get to the honest avenues of what they're wanting or what's maybe holding them back from getting what they're wanting or needing. Trust is a big thing in our personal lives, in our professional lives, and for me, it's one of our, like for all of my companies, it's one of our 10. Most of the time we've got 10, but sometimes 6 or 8. And our points of culture for my health team and my health clinic. It is 10 points of culture, and trust is one of those. It's a fundamental core belief. It's who we are. It's what we do, and recently, I guess I'm trying to choose my words carefully because I don't want to have a rant and I don't want to drop my bundle emotionally either, but we've had a very, very significant situation occur in one of my companies. And what that has actually been about is there's been 3 directors and 2 of us have let one particular person move forward with taking a lot more ownership for what's needing to be done, whilst the other 2 of us have been off working on different expansion plans and opportunities. And unfortunately, what has actually happened is that person has taken liability to ultimately, fraudulently, criminally complete multiple actions over many months that has led to a significant hemorrhage of the business. And look, there's no other way to put it. It's a multiple 6-figure detrimental effect because of these actions, and it's something that's involving fraud squads. There's been search warrants. There's been staff that have been terminated. It's been a bloody awful situation on so many different levels. And look, I don't want to go into more detail. I don't think I should be airing, the dirty laundry and all these other bits and pieces, nor will I use names and things like that. But one of the biggest factors of this is that we've had to do a big review on how and why this occurred. Now, I'm a person of massive moral and ethical integrity, and I'm always someone who plays above the line. I mean, I coach this, we want to be able to take ownership and accountability and responsibility, and we don't want to be going into a blame situation, making excuses or denying there's problems. So when we do this with our teams and with our own companies, we have to be in a situation where we do this with ourselves. And so I'm a pretty harsh critic on myself, and we've had to look long and hard at everything that has occurred and try and pick apart saying, what did I do wrong? What did I, miss? What should I have done? What might have I been able to pick up on or, be notified of earlier to be able to stop this or have it cease earlier, etc. And that's been a pretty tough approach, but it's one that we're really proud of doing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the only way that this can really be stopped or ceased, etc., is for us to not have trusted this person. And that's a really hard thing to stop and think about, because ultimately what I'm saying is that it's actually a trust and the amount of trust that we had in place that ultimately misled us and allowed us to be placed in this situation. And so it's really rocked us a little bit about this whole avenue of trust. I mean, it is super important. It's something I hold very dear to myself. But the challenge is that, let's say each month I had to turn around to this person and basically said, I don't trust what you're doing. Please show me this. Please do this. Verify who you are. Verify your job. Be accountable for all of your actions. Is that ultimately the best way for it to be dealt with? And when I look at all of my coaches, my mentors, my advisors, my colleagues, everyone that's been a part of this, it's been a really hard one for us to actually break down, because there's been a huge amount of complexity, a huge amount of wrongs have been done and very well hidden and covered up. And ultimately, we could all be exceptionally hard on ourselves about what we could have this or could have that, or if only. But ultimately in the real world, the if onlys don't really exist. And so the challenge is that we have to be able to move forward knowing that it was just because we trusted probably too much, and we trusted maybe a little bit blindly at times, that ultimately allowed this situation to go on to the level and extent that it did. And I got to admit, that's actually a pretty hard thing to acknowledge and understand, that by trusting, we've actually lowered ourselves into a false sense of security, in, for use of a better phrase. And so one of the things moving forward from here is we have to be more accountable and responsible and more aware of some of the avenues we can put into place in our businesses on a monthly or quarterly basis. But it doesn't have to be at the compromisation of trust for one another. We have to be able to learn from this and understand that trust is one of our core values, and I won't ever move from that. But is there an avenue for all of us to be a little bit more across the diligence and the corporate governance of our team members, of some of our systems, of our fiscal management of our business? And I think the answer for us in this situation is a clear yes. And I think it is for you as well in your business. I'd probably encourage us to always look a little bit deeper, to actually scratch that itch. Maybe carefully and politely ask an extra few questions, not because you don't trust, but because you do trust, and it might have been a while since you've actually gone down that path. And I think we have to be open and honest to know that that type of accountability and judgment needs to occur on all of us. As my phone rings in the background, that should happen and occur to all of us at all times, so that none of us can get into this situation. So for me, trust is one of my core values, and I think it should be for everyone. It goes to, the integrity of a person. But I think from what we've just learned, what I've just learned in my specific situation, is that it can be actually trust that in some ways actually misleads you and puts you into a false sense of security. So let's not lead ourselves blindly forward and just assume. Let's make sure that we do ask better questions, more regular accountability and responsibility for everyone in all levels of your business. Because I don't want anyone to have to go through what we've gone through, and what the directors, staff, what our shareholders have had to go through and continue to go through and will do for many months ahead. It hasn't been nice. It won't be nice. It will most likely involve jail time for one person. And it's been a horrible thing to go through, all because we ultimately trusted too much, and we probably shouldn't have trusted to that extent. And we should have had better accountability and responsibility measures in place. So that's a lesson we've learned. Even though we were doing it very well, we ultimately weren't doing it well enough. So there's lessons for us, and there's lessons for you and all of us. So let's make sure that we keep our integrity. We're always honest. We stick to our morals and ethics. But don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to politely dig in areas where you don't normally dig, just to double make sure that our ultimate trust in people isn't what actually misleads us in the first place. Hope that helps us all, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.